Okay. So we're gonna solve. These are a little bit trickier than the ones from the warm up, but they're kind of the same in terms of like what the topic is. So we need to combine like terms. We need to do opposite operations to get our variables alone, and then we want to graph our solutions when we're done. All right, look at part A. There are all sorts of C's. C's everywhere. What would you do first? What would be a good first step? Yeah, let's tidy up. I think of it as even tidying up. Like combining like terms, tidying up this left hand side. So I'm gonna start right here. Those can be combined. I don't need to like subtract something to the other side, like they are already on that side together. So if I take 1C and I subtract 2.9 C's, what do I have? Yeah, negative 1.5 C. Now, I didn't mess with anything on the other side yet, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. Oops, my C disappeared. The C's kind of down low because I forgot it, but it's there. Squeezed its way in. Yeah. Question? You're good? Okay, I just combined these like terms is all I did, and then here's my 3.5C plus 7.5. Alright, next, I want to get all the C's together. It doesn't help me when I've got some on both sides. So how could I move my 3.5C so that those are over with the other C's? Yeah, let's subtract them over. So minus 3.5C. So this will cancel. I have to subtract it also from this side. Again, remember it's very similar in that way to the equations and to thinking of it as a balance, that if you do it to one side, you have to do it to another. So this is going to give me negative 5C. My sign is still, my goodness, me and that C, I don't want to include it. That says negative 5C is greater than 7.5. Let me actually rewrite that better. Negative 5C is greater than 7.5. There we go. That looks better. Moving it up and over. What would be your last step to finish solving for C? Yeah, let's divide everything through by negative 5. So these will cancel. On the left, I just have a C. What happens to my inequality? Because I divided by a negative, it switches. So it's going to flip to face the other direction. And then when we divide, what do we get? Positive divided by a negative should be a negative. And if you do it on the calculator, what does it tell you? Yeah, 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to put negative 1.5 on my number line. I'm going to think of things that are on either side. So this would be negative 1, 0, 1. So like bigger stuff is going this way. Negative 2 would live over here. So again, I'm kind of a minimalist. You don't have to put a lot on your number line for me. Open or close circle at negative 1.5. Open. And then if I'm looking for values that are smaller, shade to the left or right. Which way are there smaller things? To the left. So again, those questions that I kind of went through and asked you are the questions that need to start going kind of through your head as you're doing the problems and asking yourself those questions for the different steps. So little side notes we could remind ourselves, if you have one of these symbols, you need a closed circle. So these are just little side notes that I'm going to write myself real quick. If you need them, write them. If you don't, that's fine. Those symbols will give me an open circle. And then the other thing that we talked about is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality flips. So that can be another note you write yourself. So any of those things that you think you might forget later that would be good little reminders for yourself, add those into your notes. And then we've got 2 more that we're going to go through together. Again, I don't care how you leave your answers for this. It's not a unit that's specifically on decimals or fractions. So you can leave your answer however you like. I'm not going to mark you down for that. Decimals are great. Fractions are great. Mixed numbers, whatever you have. Alright, let's take a look at part B. What would you do first? Subtract the 7. So I get n divided by negative 3 is less than or equal to 2. Then what would I do to get rid of the divide by 3? Multiply by negative 3. So again, I find myself in a situation where I've multiplied or divided by a negative number. So I've got this n over here. What's going to happen with my inequality? It's going to flip and face the other way. And then what do we know 2 times negative 3 is? Negative 6. So let's go to our number line. We need negative 6. That's the important one. Bless you. Bigger stuff this way. Smaller stuff this way. Open or close circle at negative 6. Closed. And then we want to go bigger. Where do bigger numbers live? To the right or to the left? To the right. So bigger things live this way, smaller things live to the left, and that is always the case. That's another note you could write yourself if you think you're going to forget later too. Bigger numbers always live to the right, smaller numbers to the left. So again, any notes that are helpful to write yourself, and you'll learn about this when you get older. It's kind of nice to have little notes written because you forget things sometimes. Alright, last one. Ready? What might you do first to get p all by its lonesome? Yeah, let's get rid of the 8 first. So I get negative 3p is less than or equal to negative 3. Okay, then what? Yeah, let's divide each side by negative 3. So we have our p, these canceled. What happens to my inequality? Flip, flip. And then negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. So I've got 1. Bigger numbers live to the right. Smaller numbers live to the left. Open or close circle at 1? Closed. Close circle at 1. And then if I want to go bigger, which way? To the right. How do we feel about this stuff? Good? Yes. Okay, I'm getting thumbs up. Alright, so I'm going to give you the homework assignment for tonight. I'll put my book under the DotCam. You can also use one of the Chromebooks to get to the online book, or you can use your own textbook if you have one with you. Whatever you'd like to use, but you've got time to work on homework. Again, I feel like breaks in life are good, and as much as I love math, sometimes I need a break from it too. So hopefully we can get this done, and then you can have a nice little break over the weekend from that. You just had a big test, and so I think we could all use a little break. So this is the homework assignment. We are on assignment number 2 because yesterday was assignment 1. We are page 80 to 81. And we are 25 through 30 and 36 through 38. I'm going to stop my video.